The very first polls tomorrow can open as early as 5:45 a.m. in Massachusetts, 6 a.m. in many other states. At this hour, headed into these elections, these are the closest races in the country. On the Senate side, there's the race we just got back from, Nevada. A poll conducted over the weekend, released today, has Sharon Engel leading Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid by 1 point. From the same firm in Washington State, the incumbent Democrat Patty Murray, who had been leading in most major polls in recent weeks, in this one new poll trails Republican Dino Rossi by 2 points. Same polling firm has the race in Colorado down to only 1 point, with Republican Ken Buck leading Democrat Michael Bennet. In Illinois, the latest poll in the race showing Republican Mark Kirk with a 4-point advantage over his Democratic opponent, Alexei Janulius. In Pennsylvania, Republican Pat Toomey's lead over Congressman Joe Sestak just outside the margin of error. The race in Alaska may not look that close, with Joe Miller enjoying a 7-point lead over both Democrat Scott McAdams and Republican write-in candidate Lisa Murkowski. But hey, how do you poll a write-in? And Democrats are openly speculating now that McAdams' steady rise may bring him closer and possibly ahead by the time balloting is done. In governor's races, perhaps the tightest big-ticket race in the entire country is in Florida, where Democrat Alex Sink leads her opponent, Republican Rick Scott, by less than 1 point in the most recent poll. In Ohio, incumbent Democratic Governor Ted Strickland has surged back to make this a race, trailing the Republican John Kasich by only 1 point in the latest poll. We inadvertently swapped those two candidates' party affiliations on a graphic last night. I'm sorry about that. Oregon Republican Chris Dudley, perhaps most famous for shooting less than 46% from the free throw line during his NBA career. The most recent poll in the Oregon governor's race has him as 43%, 3 points behind the Democrat in the race, John Kitzhaber. In Massachusetts, Democratic incumbent Deval Patrick holding a 5-point lead over the Republican in the race, but there's an independent in the race polling at 11% who could play spoiler for either candidate. In Illinois, Pat Quinn is in a fight to keep his job, down by 5 in the most recent polling. The election is Tuesday, but it will not necessarily end on Tuesday. Between the Alaskan time zone, the write-in candidates, the absentee ballots, maybe the Vermont legislature deciding who's governor there if nobody gets 50%, we may not have our final answers in some of the closest races in the country at the end of the day, but you can be assured that we will be all over it, not just tomorrow, but until this is all resolved. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. as our blanket wall-to-wall coverage starts. Now it's time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Should I look at the camera? Should I look at Rachel?
Look at me.
We look like a local anchor team.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and stare at your cheeks the whole time you do your show.
For the rest of the show.
Okay.
Okay? Take notes. I'm going to say what's in the prompter.
All right.
Thanks, Rachel.